Hi, everyone. It is nice to have so many friendly faces in the room. All right, so get back out your Menti logins and get ready, because we're going to play a game. But first, we've heard some difficult predictions about climate change, both here and in previous forums just like this. So I get sort of tired of the negative projections, even though they're true and we need to be talking about them, but I'm ready to talk about solutions to this big, hairy problem. So, are other people too? Yes. All right, let's do it. So we all have ideas of steps that we can take to reduce greenhouse gases, but what would it take for those greenhouse gases to peak and then begin declining annually? To not just slow climate change, but to get our atmosphere back to a more stable state. The book Drawdown, which I have here and have been playing with for the last few weeks, was a really interesting effort to do just that. Paul Hawken decided that he wanted to bring together researchers and scientists from around the world to do peer-reviewed analysis on the full spectrum of climate solutions to determine what exactly could be done to reverse climate change in the next 30 years. He got 70 research fellows from 22 countries, and they narrowed down the list of solutions to those that had the greatest potential. They didn't want the solutions that were promising or on the horizon. They wanted ideas that were commonly available, economically viable, scientifically valid. What can be done today if the right policies and collective efforts are put in place? They did literature reviews, they developed climate and financial models. The spreadsheets behind this are insane. They submitted their work to outside experts and to a 120-person advisory board. The result is a compilation of the top 100 solutions ranked by their potential for carbon reduction within the next 30 years, okay? So, nearly all have quantified economic costs and benefits, as well as full discussion of the less tangible benefits, security, health, poverty reduction, other environmental improvements. So today, we are going to be inspired by what is possible, by a set of solutions that touch every sector, each of your areas of expertise, and each individual's passion. Let's travel with Paul Hawken on a journey that harnesses creativity, compassion, and commitment, a journey that ends in a world far better off, even than what is anticipated by the Paris Agreement and what would come after it. So, what better way to inspire collective action than a pop quiz? We're going to work our way through the most interesting, most locally relevant solutions to determine which ones have the greatest potential impact. We're going to do it through a series of questions that are going to challenge your assumptions, hopefully surprise and inspire you. Remember, everything in the book is an impactful solution worth doing. It represents the top 100 tools in our climate solutions toolbox. So as we go through, don't dismiss the ones that ranked lower, okay? So we're gonna do a which one is better, but they're all good, right? I know it's hard, but also try not to get hung up on the details of their scenarios and assumptions. There's a lot of detail in this book that gets to how they got their numbers. Read the book, go to their website later to understand why, but let's just sort of play the game for fun. The website is drawdown.org so that you can go to that later. All right, I'm really short on time, so let's get started. The first question is, what of the 100 most impactful solutions that they analyzed had the greatest potential global impact? Now, I said don't worry about the details behind their scenarios, but in this first one, I'm going to give you a sense of what scale they're talking about. This is big. So for tropical forests restoration, they're talking about 751 million acres being transformed from degraded to intact forests. Solar farms, they're talking about going from our current 0.4% of utility level photovoltaic solar to 10% globally. For refrigerants, they're talking about containing 87% of refrigerants in 30 years. And for regenerative agriculture, that's organic regenerative, from 108 million acres currently to 1 billion acres in 2050, okay? They do not think small. Are we ready? All right. The answer is manage refrigerants. Yay, it was surprising. Okay, that's the most surprising item for me in the book. In 2016, world leaders came together and agreed on the Kigali Accord, which phases out hydrofluorocarbons by 2019 in high-income countries and 2028 in low-income countries. Secretary Kerry at the time said it was the biggest single thing we could do for climate change ever. Isn't that incredible? Nobody knew about it, right? Nobody knew. So this analysis, the drawdown analysis that made this number one, assumes that phase out, the Kigali Accord actually happens, but they also assume that all the refrigerants in air conditioners and refrigerators that are currently out in the world get captured correctly. Okay, so Kigali talks about new, but we also have to capture the existing ones. This has a huge climate impact, but it's also one of the few solutions in the book that actually has a really big cost. Okay, so number one has the biggest impact, but also has a big cost. So what can you do? Ask your HVAC technicians, your appliance guys, what are they gonna do to capture the refrigerants that are in your appliances, both at home and in your businesses, and start to think about what policies might make this possible. Next question. What was the most impactful solution? So you understand they're thinking big on this. I'm just gonna go speed round now. Which of these solutions ranked higher? Rooftop solar, afforestation, this is planting timber plantations on marginal lands, if you don't know what that means, offshore wind turbines, or educating girls? Oh. All right, I think we see our winner. I love that this isn't surprising, right? This was the number 6th most impactful solution, and how awesome is that? How is it related? You might have been asking, but clearly you're not, because everybody got it. It's primarily through the impact on reproduction rates. Schooling can reduce family size by 4 to 5 children per woman. 4 to 5. Educated girls have more productive agricultural plots. They and their children are healthier. Education was found to be the single most important factor in reducing vulnerability to natural disasters. An economic study found that educating girls is cost competitive with almost all existing carbon reduction strategies. Just $10 per ton of carbon dioxide. Okay, so I think we could talk about this forever. Their analysis, the drawdown analysis, assumes ensuring universal education in low and middle income countries by 2050. Seems like a really big task, but the United Nations has put a number to that, and it would cost $39 billion per year. We spend a lot more than that on some other things. So the return on that investment is incalculable. Family planning was number 7. So when you put educating girls and family planning programs together, they're number 6 and 7 in our climate world. Really cool. This is not a local problem, but we put it in because of its impact, and also because there are opportunities for us all to be involved in aid organizations and opportunities to move this forward. All right, next one. What is most effective? These are two sides of the same coin. Composting and reducing food waste. I love that there's some peer pressure in this. So you're not going to choose the other one just because everyone else must be right? Well, in this case, they are. Reducing food waste came in at number 3. So this is about reducing food waste in production of our food supply, but also in the supply chain and in the household. This is farm to table in the household, about preventing it from getting to the point where it then would need to be disposed of, even if you compost it, which came in at number 60. So again, composting is still in the top 100, it's number 60. The carbon benefit from reducing food waste is from the emissions in production, but also from the avoided deforestation of not having to then create more farming area, okay? That's actually the bigger component of this benefit, okay? And this assumes some changes in diet into the future. Here we go, here's our next one. So here are some solutions that I personally talk a lot about in my job. We talk a lot about it locally. Which of these do you think ranked higher, rooftop solar or electric vehicles? All right, in this case, the wisdom of crowds was not as good. Rooftop solar came in at number 10. All right, so the drawdown group set a goal of 7% of electricity generation from rooftop solar by 2050. That's up from 0.4% globally today. Remember, this is globally, right? We're the Sunshine State. I think we can do a lot better than 7%. What's great about this one is it has an estimated savings of over $3 trillion in 30 years. It also has a lot of benefit in developing countries in terms of off-grid applications and rural electrification. Our next one. When we talk to people about how to make their homes more efficient, both of these are low-cost and easy solutions. So which one do you think, if we ramped it up on a global scale, would have the biggest impact? All right. Insulation came in at 31st. It's well-founded, very practical, and cost-effective. It is a great bang for your buck. The analysis set a goal that 54% of existing residential and commercial buildings would install insulation in 30 years. Can you imagine doing something on 50% of buildings in 30 years across the world? But in this room, can I get a commitment from 50% of you that you will install insulation in your buildings in the next 30 years? I think it's pretty likely. All right. Now the smart, so this one has a global net savings of over $2 trillion. The smart thermostats didn't win this one, but how cool is it that that simple technology made it to number 57 in this global list? I feel like that's a futurist kind of thing, that if we made this list 5 years ago, it wouldn't have been on there. All right. Let's stay with some simple low-hanging fruit. LED lighting versus water-saving improvements, and these are both just in the residential sector. All right. LED lighting one, number 33. Now, this is important. This was only for residential. If you look at commercial, it came in at 44. LED conversions in commercials, 44. People think that asking people to change light bulbs is cliched. I often get told, oh, you know, you've been asking people to do that for 15, 20 years. Why are you still asking them to do that? Because they haven't done it yet. All right? Globally, we haven't done it yet, and this is an incredible opportunity. The goal in drawdown is that by 2050, 90% of the household lighting market is LED. I don't think it's a big ask to get you to commit to only buy LEDs by 2050. In fact, I think prices are going to be low enough that we could all do it in the next 5. And that's not with an income consideration. I think that'll work for everybody. This is a $1.7 trillion savings. Now some tougher behavioral changes that are sort of hard. Airplane travel and meat-heavy diets have often been targets of the old climate finger wag. Have you ever gotten that? Have you ever felt it on yourself? I do it to myself. Which do you think would have the bigger impact? Increasing airplane efficiency or shifting to plant-rich diets? All right, you are right on this one. Plant-rich diet came in at number 4. Yeah, so now food is personal, food is cultural. This is not telling everyone to go vegan. Their analysis, it modeled a shift to 50% of the world's population sticking to a diet of 2,500 calories per day and reduced meat consumption. This is not the extreme, but it still came in at number 4. It could reduce 66 gigatons of carbon, and it's something that I think people can consider. Do you think you might be able to think about becoming a reducitarian? All right. This is the last one. Are you ready? How about a shift to cool and green roofs? These are sort of white roofs and roofs with vegetated roofs versus preserving and restoring coastal wetlands. It's a hard one, right? Built environment, natural environment. It's not fair to compare. You ready? Coastal wetlands. This one came in at number 52, and we thought it was important to end on this one. This is a very local issue. It's something that relates to a lot of what you talked about yesterday. Coastal wetland ecosystems sequester some of the highest levels of carbon relative to their land area. It's stored in the plants above ground as well as the roots and soil below and below water in many cases. The soil of the world's mangrove forests alone may hold as much carbon as the world emits in 2 years. Drawdown proposed protecting another 57 million acres of coastal wetlands globally. Our local habitats are a tremendous opportunity, both for protection of new habitat, but also for restoration of what's already protected. Countless other co-benefits I think you talked about yesterday: economic, resiliency, water quality, wildlife, and more. I love the hearts. Okay, we did it. Now, no matter how you scored on our little quiz, I think we all win on this one. Any of those strategies are impactful and take us in the right direction, even if we don't get to the scale that they're talking about, and it's a big scale. It's going to take some big policy changes. Our community would benefit in so many ways, so why not try? It's all doable. It'll usually save us money. It'll improve other environmental and social metrics, in addition to being scientifically evaluated for real climate benefit. So, can I get everyone in the room to commit to this for me? Go home, talk to your family about these 100 things. Pick your top 5, the ones that resonate with you, and get to work. Can we do it? All right. Thank you.